What's going on, you nerds? Welcome to the True Nerds Gaming Podcast, episode number 37.
37.
Today we are going to be catching up with each other. So I got myself here, Cobbsy. We got Dan, aka Drolly, and Austin, aka Bigfoot. What's going on, guys?
Not much. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are you, Austin?
Doing good. Can't complain. Just got done golfing all weekend. So, yeah.
I know you had your bachelor's weekend, and I had my brother-in-law's wedding. So today was a recovery day for me, but yeah, it's been a few weeks since you've been on the podcast. Me and Dan skipped last week because we were building my computer or rebuilding my computer with a few important updates there. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first off, Dan, we'll let you take the wheel. What have you been playing?
So the new Pokemon expansion came out last week, and I kind of waited to play it with a bunch of my buddies, and it was pretty fun playing it kind of as a group. But the expansion's like pretty thin on content. So we got done, and we're like, "Wait, this is it? Seriously? There's nothing else?"
What was the price point on it?
So it's $35 for the 2 expansions. So it was like $17.50, I guess.
Are they like
So,
staggered release or what?
yeah, the next one comes out in December, I think.
Hmm.
So
That's interesting. I don't think they've ever done it that way, have they?
not that close together. It seems kind of like weird that they're both launching like pretty close to each other. But yeah, usually there's like, I mean, usually the expansions like aren't huge, but there's usually like some end game activity to like do with your like friends. This one is riding a bike around popping balloons.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That's some Destiny level expansion shit right there. Hell yeah. That's funny.
Holy cow.
yeah. So we were like, wow, like that's it. Okay.
How many hours did you get out of it at least?
Like 5.
That's
And how much did you pay for it?
I get
$17.50.
$17.50 as a part of 35 as a part of a dual pack.
That's where the greediness is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like pretty rough.
How have I not seen stuff all over the internet about that? Normally when a Pokemon game launches or DLC launches bad, it's like a freaking uproar.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I know. I don't know if like people are just kind of like over Scarlet and Violet unless you're like a competitive player or what, but yeah, I mean they've been doing like more events with Scarlet and Violet. So they had like this big like Mewtwo event a couple weeks ago that was like pretty cool. It was extremely difficult, and we ended up beating it like an hour before it like closed, and it was like open for 2 weeks. But yeah, so I don't know if they put like more of their resources into like the live events versus the expansion or what, but
I mean, that is cool. Like having bigger events like that are actually challenging. But
yeah, the raids are way better in Scarlet and Violet than they were in Sword and Shield. So
That goes a long way. I feel like it keeps the longevity of that game going too. To have live events like that. It just sucks that they have to, if they funnel it in one way or the other, or at least, spread it out longer instead of have it like so closely staggered. But I know a new Pokemon game's on the horizon, so they're kind of trying to push it out.
Yep.
Or at least just combined it into one.
Yeah, for real. But
well, that's depressing.
A little bit.
So moving on from that, sad note for you, Austin. I already know the answer, but fill us in.
All right, so me and my fiance have been sinking endless amount of our free time into Starfield.
Hold on. Fiance?
Yeah.
What?
Yep, we're getting married in Japan next month. So
did I not know this, or did you just like shadow drop that?
Just shadow drop.
Wow. Are you gonna get in trouble? Do we need to edit this out?
No, because I don't think family's gonna watch it. Like they might support, like, and subscribe, but I don't know if they're gonna get up
watch
to this.
it. They're not gonna watch the 5 minutes in to listen. Well, congrats, buddy. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Wow. And you're going to over to Japan. I know you got a love for that, so that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait. But we've been ever since Starfield came out, that's what we've been playing. And it's really fun at the end of the night once we're done playing to talk about what our two completely different experiences is. Like it's funny because Kay is playing the game, but her goal is to any rich like NPC that she interacts with in the game, like or through a quest line, she's like, "Eat the rich, bro!" Like just mows them down. And then mine is like a cowboy bounty hunter going and like doing like raiding other ships and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying it. I can understand why people are not like getting hooked on it because usually Bethesda games they have that hook like within the first at least 4 hours. But this one it's kind of like you're creating your own narrative. Like you have your own goals that you have throughout the universe that you want to go do. Like I cannot get into the main story for the life of me, and I feel like I'm just kind of pushing that along just to kind of open up more of the galaxy for me. But other than that, like I think the side missions are incredible. Like very interesting. It does feel like some of them have been cut short. Like they just abruptly end at some point, so that's kind of troubling, but like this game was in the works for how long? But it's still overall, I'd probably give it like an 8.75, solid 9, or yeah, that.
It's a
Yeah.
very specific number.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. It's not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say it's not like the graphically and like clutter wise, it looks beautiful, but it's not gonna blow anybody's brains like with how amazing it is.
Are you playing it on PC?
Yeah,
Have you
looks
modded it
beautiful.
at all?
I have not yet. I'm gonna do a playthrough and then get to New Game Plus to mod it.
I've been just doing some like pretty simple mods. So I did like a color mod and a DLSS mod, and just like those two right there make the game like way better.
Really?
Yeah.
I cannot wait until because I
There's
know
just this big yellow shade over everything. It's like you don't notice it, and then like you like remove it, and it's like, dude, this
Someone
game
like
is incredible.
smeared Vaseline over your
Yeah,
or your
real.
monitor.
Mm.
Yeah, I know I talked to both of you. I have I texted Dan, I talked to Austin on the phone. I don't have any issue with the game whatsoever. For look, voice acting, I know there's really nothing wrong with it. It just didn't, you know, like just pull me in like I am used to with Bethesda games. Um, between and I know I'm not a huge sci-fi guy, so I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on with me here. I think it's me, not the game. I just got done with a huge Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Um, hold on one sec. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
is that a kid or a
No,
cat?
that's Heather
Oh,
vacuuming. I don't know
it's-
what, but anyways, what was I saying? Oh, I just got done with a huge Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. So now to go into a huge, open world, like make your own adventure style game, that was kind of pulling me. I think I just needed something to direct me on what to do. More than me go find my own narrative at this point, just because I just got through a really cutscene heavy game and dialogue heavy game, and the first couple hours of Starfield is just pure dialogue besides a little bit. So I think if I would have started more open world right from the rip, I would have been okay to like go make my own exploration and narrative and enjoyed it. But it just wasn't, after almost 3 hours, it just wasn't hooking me. And I'm like, all right, I need to go play something else. Because the beginning part where you're following, is her name Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was following her. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I had no issues with the graphics. The voice acting wasn't the worst. It was kind of boring. The voice acting was a little boring. But then all of a sudden, you touch this thing and some weird stuff happens. You're like, okay, and then all of a sudden this random dude lands on your planet, and then he's like, hey, take my ship, kind of deal. And I'm like, oh, and it just like none of the story like captured me to the point where I just wanted to keep playing. So I just felt like I was forcing myself to play it, and like talking with you, Austin, and reading a few things online, because I did go on to Reddit, and I'm like, am I like, is there something wrong with me? And I wasn't the only one with that issue. That's not saying I'm not gonna play it later. I know I'm just kind of rambling here about my first few hours. But just wasn't for me at this point in my gaming life. So I switched over to Spider-Man. I've been wanting to play that for a while. I touched a few hours on it earlier, but then Zelda came out back in the springtime, and I put it down, and I am so happy I picked it back up, because I went from like a frustrating gaming night to like not wanting to game and forcing myself to push through something I wasn't enjoying, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man just frickin' took over, and I'm like, hell yeah, having a great time. It's just a phenomenal game. Austin, you need to play it. It's a banger, man. Dan's been harassing me for 2 years to play this, or a year and a half, and I've just been playing other things. But dude, it's one of those games where you can beat it. It's a typical Sony game. You can, okay, I can beat it in 20 some hours. It's a great narrative. Combat's awesome, but if you want to like going further and do a bunch of side stuff, you can. And I thought I was going to go through and just play the narrative and whatever, but I just fell in love with, web slinging through the city, man, and just doing all the side stuff. And I'll be going to do a side mission, or collecting backpack or something else, and there's a crime that pops up near me, and I'm like, I'm fucking Spider-Man. I need to go save these people. And I'm about to hit 10 hours, I think, and I'm just having a blast, and I've only completed like 20% of the story, so I think I'll probably have a little longer playthrough. The only thing what I did do, Dan, I did turn off the puzzles, and it just helps with the flow. Because so for you, Austin, there's a mechanic like when you turn on a network, or you go in and it's a life sim, right? So you're going in, you're doing your daily job or whatever, and you're tinkering with electronics and stuff. It actually has these really cool mini games that you can. Oh, Heather just texted me. Sorry about the noise. She was just freaking out. I'm assuming she vacuumed up a spider so it didn't kill her in her sleep. But is anyone else's wives or fiancés deathly afraid of spiders?
Yeah,
because it's like,
oh yeah,
if she sees one, it's like someone broke into the house and is trying to murder her. Dude, like blood curdling scream. But anyway, so yeah, there's these little mini puzzles or mini games. They actually are really fun, but there's so many of them, it kind of kills my immersion and like the pacing of the game. So they thought about it, and I don't know if the original one had this or not, but the remaster, you can turn the puzzles off, and dude, it's just like, it just helps with pacing so much. You're like, okay, unlock the tower, everything unlocks around you, and you go just do whatever you want to do. So the game's phenomenal. It's beautiful, dude. It's just seamless everything. The only loading screen is like if you're walking into a building for a cutscene, and that's literally awesome. A 2-second. But the whole city of New York, you can just swing and swing and swing and swing, and it is fast. It is. You feel like you are Spider-Man. They did such a good job with this game. I'm excited to play it after we get done. So, but yeah, the second one's coming out here in less than a month. Unfortunately, on PlayStation 5 only, which we all knew. But I'm hoping and praying that it comes out on PC here in the next year or so. Because dude, it's so good. But Miles Morales is already out on PC, and I know it's a really, really short game, and people had their gripes with it. But if you consider it like a DLC, you can get it on CD Key so cheap. It's $20 or less, and it's like
it is a DLC. They tried to like market it as like another game, and they charge full price for it.
Well, it launched with the PS5, didn't it, or right around the time?
Yeah,
but for PC players. Sorry. I was just gonna say you can get it for less than $20 or whatever. Like, that's a good DLC.
Yeah.
So, what were you gonna say, Austin? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I think it was around that time when they released like the PlayStation 5, because the PlayStation 5 really didn't have like a lot of getcha games
Mm-hmm.
that kind of dropped with it, which I kind of thought was weird for both consoles, you know. Um, Not that I can remember, but yeah, they need to start making more games like that, you know, just short. I don't know if you guys remember, like Xbox 360 like started having like online games where you could download for like 15 or 20 bucks a pop, like mini indie games.
Mhm.
So cool, so much fun. And they need to bring that back, because like it's either we get really bad DLC like what you're experiencing with Pokemon, or we get like a full half-baked game that nobody really asked for. So there needs to be like an in between. And yeah, especially from the bigger gaming industries. So it's cool that they did something like that.
I
No,
look
but
back at I'm looking at my my Steam library, or I was looking at the other day, and I'm kind of like a low key Sony fanboy. Like I'm surprised I don't own a PlayStation 5 because like my gaming style, I'm huge into RPGs and I'm huge into like narrative driven games more than like I like sandbox games. I was talking to Dan about this the other day. If it doesn't have a good story, I can't go out
find your story.
and just sit there and like I like the open worldness of a lot of games, but story is what drives me. And then I'll be like, oh, you know, squirrel. Here, I want to go work on that, and then go back to the story. But um, Sony is just they're the king at narrative driven games, man. Like Uncharted, Spiderman, like you know, the Final Fantasy, stuff like that. It's just my cup of tea. I'm really surprised I don't own a PlayStation 5. But now I was gonna buy one earlier this year, or was it last year? But they bought that port company. Well, all they do for Sony is work on PC ports. And that was kind of my like, hey, just hold on. Maybe in the next year we're gonna have a lot quicker ports coming out, or what have you. So,
Ghost of
um,
Tsushima was coming.
oh, that's right.
Yeah, with the Nvidia leaks.
Yes, I remember that now. I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for that, and I hope Bloodborne comes eventually. I don't know if it will by now, but that's one of the few From Software games I have not played. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4 or PS5 to play that, because that's I heard there's some frame issues and a little issues with it, so I'd rather wait for kind of a remaster to come out. But anyways, so what's on the horizon for you guys? Austin, you're going to keep playing Starfield. Dan, what's your opinion on Starfield?
Yeah, I like it. It really it was kind of the main. I was like main questing it, waiting for the like game to like open up a little bit more, and it kind of just lets you keep crunching down on mainline quests, and they're all, at least in the beginning, they're all very similar.
Mm-hmm.
They are kind of like action packed, but they're really just like pretty identical, but on a different planet. Um, and then I started doing some of the. I didn't join a faction right away because I thought you could only like join one, and I want to like didn't want to like join the wrong one or something like that. And talk to some people, and they're like, no, you can just like keep joining them, and like doesn't hurt anything. Like, okay, cool. So I joined the United Colonies as like a marine, I guess, and that storyline is like very intriguing and way more in depth, and started like really enjoying it. So then after I did that, I saved up like 60,000 credits and customized my ship. I spent 4 hours customizing my ship, and it ended up just being a slightly longer starter ship.
Yeah.
I
I
did
heard
the
it.
same thing. Holy cow.
Oh man, I had like deleted everything and built my own like ship, and it was like, you're missing this, you're missing that, this can't go. And I'm like, what is going on? And so then it just ended up coming back to being like the same starter ship, just longer.
That's exactly what happened with me. Like, I'll look over and Kay's like building her ship. I was like, another upgrade? She's like, yeah, I'm like 2 hours into it. I do the same thing. I just get so hyper fixated on like trying to add more engines. It's like, oh, too much engine, not enough engine.
I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
where
Oh yeah.
it gets me. Like, I just don't enjoy the like the the
Space
ships and space
travel.
and stuff, like, because Fallout 4, dude, I feel you 100% here. Dude, I spent literally, like, a whole weekend back when I was single and I didn't have responsibilities and stuff besides my normal job, um, just working on the fortress and, like, the settlements, and, like, you could
Mhm.
build settlements in each city and, like, connect them and, like, electricity. Dude, I made, like, Taj Mahals, man, like, I was obsessed with it, and I love that. But then here, like, I think about building a ship. I just don't think I'll get into it. So like I said, with Starfield, I think it's me, not the
I mean, you
game.
don't have to build a ship. You can buy a ship.
Exactly. Yeah. You
Right,
can
but I'm
buy
just
Steal
saying,
somebody
specific.
like,
else's ship.
that
You
sounds
can build settlements. You can build settlements on multiple planets.
that is something I probably would get into.
And you do cargo lines between the two.
Yeah.
Like Kay right now, she got. Did you get parents? I don't know if she got parents or not, but then you have to pay for your parents' housing. But then she also got a condo, and she spends a lot of time decorating her condo. Yeah,
That's
in her dream
funny.
house. Yeah, so it's really cool.
Yeah, I
She goes to
think
planets and steals stuff and then brings it back. Anyway,
I think once I get to a good point where I'm in the mood to revisit it, I think from the sounds of it, the game does a really good job of, like, picking and choosing, like, hey, I want to go do this, and this is all I want to focus on for, 10, 20, 30 hours, and then you get some enjoyment out of it, and, like, telling yourself, hey, you can't do everything unless you're going to spend thousands of hours in this game, which is awesome for replayability. But yeah, I'll have to revisit. There's just a lot of games coming up still, man.
mm,
If I'm not enjoying a game right now, I want to, like, kind of get those low hanging fruit of mine, like those 20, 30 hour games that I want to finish. Like, I want to do Spider-Man remastered, then I want to do Miles Morales right after that. Guardians of the Galaxy, I bought that when Guardians 3 came out. I'm surprised you haven't played that, Dan, because I guess that's just a banger.
I
Like,
have it. I
yeah, I know you
played the
do.
first like maybe hour of it. And
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I wasn't in the mood that day, or wanted to go back to Destiny or something. I don't know.
because it's not Chris Pratt. Yeah, but little games like that, I kind of want to play through. And then Lords of the Fallen's coming out in October. I know that's not your cup of tea, Dan. I talked to you about it a little bit, Austin, but that game looks phenomenal. I'm still a little cautious though. I haven't pre-ordered it because the first one wasn't the best. It had some good things about it, but it was very rough. So, but yeah, man, Alan Wake 2, that's coming out. Um, Again, Dan, not your cup of tea. But I'm a little annoyed it's an Epic exclusive, which pisses me off. So
Yeah, that kind of stinks.
I'm frustrated about that. And I wanted to play the Alan Wake 1 remaster, Epic exclusive. So it's like, oh, maybe I just won't play it. Wha-
I think it's still worth it. I don't think. I mean, it's just like it's an inferior store for sure, but
yeah,
they've been like slowly building a pretty solid library, and I think obviously that's their plan. And I think eventually it will be kind of like a decent Steam competitor. It's not there yet. They've been spending more of their money trying to get exclusives than just like trying to make a competitor to Steam.
right.
I think it's funny that I was reading an article. I forgot what company was doing it, but a lot of like the CEOs are starting to like retract a lot of their marketplaces essentially, and they're like not releasing it on Steam, and they're leaving so much money on the table by not putting it on Steam and just letting Steam take that cut. Like then they were like it's insane. Like they said it was like a 58% like amount of money that they're missing out on, or it was something like that. But it was insane. Yeah,
Well, I know
it's
Epic
interesting.
is a lot friendlier when it comes to developers and
Yeah.
publishers for pricing. So
If you use the Epic engine, it's the same fee. They like lump the fee and the marketplace fee together.
Oh
Mhm.
my
So
gosh, why wouldn't you do that then? Especially if you're like if you're scrumming for money, like just trying
yeah,
to build your
a lot of
game. Yeah,
small companies, their go to is Epic,
yeah,
just because of that. Like
right.
their costs are cheaper and they take a bigger like cut out of it, and they're not going to sell millions of copies anyways. And so
right. It's a
Makes
very
sense then. I did
specific.
not know that.
Yeah, it's very specific. I know Steam's cut is big. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's like between 10 and 20%.
It's 30.
Holy shit.
Unless you're a big game,
Yeah.
then they give you a discount. So
Right.
if they didn't want to lose all their like massive games to Epic, so they gave the big ones a discount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Man.
one game that came out, actually, you guys should both look it up. I've been really excited for it. It's from Astronaut Studios. It's called Witchfire. It's a so you should watch it, Dan, because imagine Doom, all right, but it's a
Okay.
roguelite with Dark Souls mechanics. So you know, if you die, you still can go get your shit. But when you watch the trailer, it looks like he's using a hand cannon. It looks exactly like Bungie's shooting mechanics, and it looks so fun. It's it's a little darker, but yeah, it's got like 3 main mechanics, or games
I think
wrapped
my
into
only
one.
annoyance that's like not really getting me in love with Starfield right now is the ammo economy. I have this amazing hand cannon, and I just constantly run out of ammo as I switch weapons. Do you like buy ammo somewhere? Like, I don't know. I just like pick it off of dead bodies all the time.
Yeah, every time I go to like a hub world, I make sure to stop at like Trade Authority or something like that to buy like that med packs and digipicks. And because I ran into that too, it wasn't as bad. I mean, I'm playing on hard, but it like got worse like later with, like you said, like the hand cannon, and I've noticed it, and it just now starting to affect me, and I'm level 25 or 30 or something like that. But yeah, that's all I do. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
I just want to rock my hand cannon, and I run through like 20 rounds. I'm like, oh, I'm out. I guess I'll pump about 500 rounds of this SMG until I find more hand cannon ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played any more Sea of Stars, Dan?
Yeah, it's my Steam Deck game.
Yeah.
And it's got me like enjoying the Steam Deck again.
Same here.
I'm digging it.
It's good. Like I was saying, I was listening to you watch Friends Per Second? We talked about that. So Austin, it's a podcast between Skill Ups, Jake Baldino from Game Ranks, and Completionist, Gerard. Can't think of his last name. And then I'm horrible with names, but she's from GameSpot. She's a journalist for them. But anyways, they did a interview with the Sea of Stars developers, and it was super interesting listening to this. Have you listened to it yet, Dan?
No.
Essentially the developers, they came out with this game called The Messenger, and it's like an original, the original Ninja Gaiden, like the side scrollers, not like Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, like the reboots. It's like that. It's like kind of a harder side scroller, 2D side scroller ninja game. But they came out with this game to essentially build funds to make Sea of Stars, which is like their baby. They started development in 2018, right before COVID hit. But it really didn't slow them down, surprisingly. But it's a really interesting interview because essentially everything they wanted that everyone would be like, oh, that's impossible, they asked for it. They're like, hey, we want this music composer from Square Enix. He's like one of the best. I can't think of his name right now. They sent him an email, or his studio an email, and for whatever reason, the guy's like, he's like, I don't know why, but I want to do this game. And
that's awesome.
So they're like, and then he's like, hey, I'd like to do this. So they send him another email. They're like, well, that's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Even if you just did one soundtrack for us, we're looking for between 1 and 10 soundtracks. We still want our music producer to create some soundtracks. He's like, no, I want to do all 10. Like, dude, every turn of this game's development has just been like an amazing story. They reached out to Xbox and Sony and said, hey, we'd like you to put yours on PlayStation. Is it PlayStation Plus?
Plus.
PlayStation Plus and Game Pass. Both said yes. Like
Awesome.
it's like one of the few games. They just essentially never took no for an answer. Like I think I can't remember if it was Sony or Xbox said no, and so they responded like, okay, well, obviously, you know, whatever, the game's not as far along as you or it should be before you can give us an answer. So then they sent it back again, and then they said yes. It started as a Kickstarter. It's just a really interesting story to hear. And like there's only 25 people in the studio from Sabotage that created this game. And so 250,000 copies were sold. Now that doesn't include Game Pass and PlayStation Plus in the first week. That was their total goal so that they could create their third game. So in the first week that sold, and then 2 million concurrent players. Or not
Holy
concurrent, not concurrent, excuse me. 2 million players total.
Okay.
Now this is just it's an indie game that's just freaking taken by force. Like the developer, the creative director, the main guy was so, you could just tell he was in love. He's like, I've cried so many times throughout this whole development process because it's just unreal to me. Like my dreams are literally coming true with this love letter game that I've created. The first game was through Devolver Digital, and they decided not to go with them the second time around just because there was no issues. They were really happy with Devolver. They're like, but we just want to make this exactly what we want and not have to like take the time to go through the developer to like approve our decisions and this and that. So they literally have two main directors that are bouncing ideas, and they're like, hey, if we wanted to change it right now, we change it right now, kind of deal. But yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm very, very happy that game sold so well and is doing so well, and it's awesome. Austin, you gotta look at it, you gotta play it.
I will. Like that just sounds. It looks.
The soundtrack is incredible.
Oh my
right.
god, dude!
I can just like throw my headset on and just jam away to it.
Yeah, it's one of the few games where I actually would buy the soundtrack for. Not, you know, a lot of the times I don't buy digital deluxe just for the soundtrack. This game, it's just freaking amazing. So, but yeah, I'm super happy about it. Like it makes me want to finish Spider-Man just to, you know, like actually sit down and play that. But I keep telling myself, hey, that's my Steam Deck game. I'm actually using it. It's not collecting dust anymore, you know. So, but yeah, that's about my life right now, boys. Nothing too exciting. What kind of Spider-Man's the shit?
But you're gonna love it, man. It's so good. And I really think the puzzles really slowed things down. And without that, the pace is like really good. And the pace sometimes is almost a little too fast, where you can't like finish trying to like do what you're doing before like the next thing happens or somebody calls you. But I mean, like that's Spider-Man's life, right?
Yeah.
So he's like busy. So
yeah,
no, it was incredible.
I do have a question. I didn't even look. Is the voice actor actually Tom or no?
No.
Dude, he sounds like him.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Well, there was that whole like kind of like weird scandal thing where they, or not like scandal, but like they like redid either the voice actor or the character. I think they got a new voice actor for the remaster.
Okay.
And then they changed the way Peter Parker looked or something like that, like slightly.
It looks like Tom Holland.
Oh yeah. I remember.
So
I can't.
All the PlayStation people who like played through originally were like upset that like every single line is like redone by a different voice actor.
I like it.
I mean, it was really good, but I had no frame of reference, and so
Right.
I couldn't weigh in one way or the other on that. But it was really good.
Here's a question. Favorite Spider-Man actor?
You're asking
Andrew
the wrong
Garfield.
guy. Andrew Garfield's a good one.
I'm kind of there, man. I don't know.
Mine was Peter Parker. Like I love that movie as a kid. Like I think it's just for pure nostalgia purposes. I picked that. Like the first Spider-Man. I think I burned like a hole in that DVD. I mean, on repeat. It's like one of my first DVDs I owned. Like
Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so you were
Oh, I'm
right in
sorry.
choosing.
No,
I
who
can't
am
think.
I?
I can't
Tobey
think of the
Maguire.
actor. Yeah, Tony Maguire. I was like,
Yeah, that's who it was. That's who I bet. Gosh.
I mean, I initially like obviously grew up watching those. Those were like the best Spider-Man movies when we were
Mm-hmm.
kids, or not Spider, like superhero movies in
mm-hmm.
general.
They
Was
were the
definitely the
only
first
good
one.
ones, man.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And so then after like the third one came out, it was like, oh, maybe maybe they're not like as good as I remember them being.
We
Maybe they
aged out
like
of them
didn't.
pretty
Are
quick.
we all thinking of the same scene where he's just walking like being a badass, just like
Yeah, that one quite didn't land
Oh,
too well. But
no?
I actually did
There's
some like watch some like deep dives like into all the Spider-Man movies, and I have like a newfound love and respect for the originals, and that they didn't go off of. I think what like upset me was like I grew up with the Spider-Man cartoon,
mm,
and then went to the movies, and they were very different from what the cartoon was. But like they based all, so I thought they weren't being like correct to the source, or they were kind of just making it up as they go along, but they took specific things from the comics and they were very accurate to the comics, and it was just like a difference in being a cartoon fan of the
right.
Spider-Man series. So
Well, there's so
the,
many.
the originals are pretty good, but
Well, yeah, when you
the
look
third one
at,
was
yeah, that was sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done. With Marvel, like the multi universe, um, there's so many different, whether you're a comic fan or you're the cartoon fan, or even now, dude, like my daughter watches Spider-Man, like the kids movie, and like there's different lore, it's
mm-hmm.
just different canon. It's all relevant. It's just what you grew up on that definitely gives you, because like kids nowadays might watch the Tom Holland version, like, oh, the original ones are trash, like they're
Mm-hmm.
2000 style, and it's just not good. But like, I don't know. I like them all.
I think,
Um,
yeah, I agree. I think the Tom Holland ones are probably the better movies, enjoyable
mhm.
to watch, like all the way through. I think they don't have really any weak points, but they don't like hit as highs as the other ones do. Um, but I think they each like kind of have their own place.
As far as an actor, don't get me wrong, I love Tom Holland. He's great. He plays that perfect, funny, witty character.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually witty in real life, which is makes it easy for him. But I think the Amazing Spider-Man's acting, like the feel, is just amazing. Like me and Heather loved um
Mm-hmm.
what's his
Andrew
name? Andrew
Garfield.
Garfield. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, he's just like he plays that outcast so well.
Yeah, he does.
But I don't know.
Speaking of canon,
Hmm.
have any of you guys watched Ahsoka, the new Star Wars TV show?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so
they're
if
good.
you don't know, or if you haven't watched Rebels or the Clone Wars animated series, you are probably have no idea what the hell is going on. You're just like, so like being a huge fan, loving it, right?
Hmm.
Like seeing all the cartoons, like did a deep dive into Rebels, but it like my friend's wife comes over and watches it with us, and she's like, there's fucking whales now with tentacles in space. And like you say that, or like she sees that, she's like, what the hell is this? Not realizing that, like, if you watch the cartoons of Star Wars Rebels, the Purgle are like they go travel between galaxies and stuff like that. And it's great. Like if you were a true fan, the Ahsoka series is like, and like you've seen like everything from like the Clone Wars animated series from Rebels and all that. It's amazing. But if you're someone new and you jump into Ahsoka, you're gonna be like so lost if you just watch like the original like 12 like mainstream movies. But I just think it's just interesting like how Dave is going about with this one series, because like Mandalore was a little bit more friendly with kind of intertwining like different parts of like the story into
Mm-hmm.
that story, so it's more familiar. But then Ahsoka is just like, I love it. I really love that, but as a new fan, like it's just like people are like,
I will say, so I haven't seen Rebels or the Clone Wars. This series is making me want to go watch it. But I think, I mean, coming from me and my wife watch it, we're loving it. I think they do a good enough job where it kind of make stuff you don't understand doesn't break the overall plot. It makes me and her want to go watch Rebels or the Clone Wars.
that's
So
something you can watch with your kids too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've
and that would
heard
be
that.
perfect. Yeah, and
So
like I'm glad
Rebels was
that
actually really good to watch. The Clone Wars is a little rough for me. It's just
yeah.
like it's
out of
super
order.
episodic, and it's just like there's like not a strong enough connecting storyline through the whole thing, and it's so long. There's so many seasons. I tried to get
So
through it.
much filler. There's so much filler. I
Yeah.
think we got to like season 4, and then we just like, okay, only important episodes. This was like 2 years ago we did this. We watched all the important episodes. And then we went back and watched it all, and we're like, okay, like yeah. But and then yeah, Disney Plus also has like now like an entire section of just like the essential episodes of Clone Wars.
Oh,
So
really?
you could just throw that on and it'll play back to back to back to back
That's
of all
awesome.
the only essential ones. And they're doing that right too. Like if you didn't know who Ahsoka was, they had like the Ahsoka
Oh,
essentials and they
true.
did that with
Mm,
just all the main essentials for that. I think that's really cool that they do that. But Tyler, I'm really glad that as someone who's never seen like the Clone Wars or like because this is just like my perspective, like in the box looking out, right?
right.
So
No.
like you definitely cleared that up. That makes me feel so much better because like that you had an idea of kind of like what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, the new, whether it's Obi-Wan or Mando or Ahsoka, any of the new ones, Andor, what else am I missing? Is that it?
There's the one season spinoff with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Those,
like that. I didn't watch it. I watched 3 episodes, hated it, or 2 episodes,
those
hated it.
like
Did you watch
Mando
the
0.5.
Mandalorian episode?
No.
There's 2 Mandalorian episodes smack dab in the middle of,
And they're the most important episodes in the
and they're the
entire
best
series.
ones. of the
Huh.
whole thing.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch, like I watched the first 2 and they were what. Anyways, but
The Scooter Gang. Oof.
I think they do a really good job if you are deep into the lore within the Star Wars universe. You get an appreciation for the episodes or the whole series. But if you're new, it's like everything so far besides this Ahsoka series has been amazing for me because I understand the lore, I get everything, but also my wife doesn't know shit, and she's enjoying it because they do enough of the plot, like current plot, to keep you engaged. And this is no different with Ahsoka. I don't know any of the history. You can kind of understand what's going on, but it also like the main plot you can understand, but you can also kind of understand what happened previously because they do enough drip feeding to you, um, where it makes you want to like watch the other series or whatever.
For
I
sure.
think they've done a really good job with it overall. So besides episode 3 of Ahsoka, which was trash, not the episode, just that one part, where I don't want to spoil anything. I'll talk to you offline, Austin. Dan, you know what I'm talking about. The horrible, horrible part within the episode. It just completely removed me from the immersion of the episode. But yeah.
If you
So,
want a cliff notes of like Rebels, because I know it 3 or 4 seasons. I think it's just 3 seasons. New Rock Stars is an excellent breakdown of every single after episode. Like so, like they'll do like 45 minutes after an episode,
Hmm.
and they'll go into detail about everything, or they do like a roundup of like an entire season in like an hour's time. But they go into really good detail. But it's also just a really good Cliff Notes
it's a YouTube channel.
version of it. Yep, New Rock Stars. Check them
Yeah,
out.
I watched them for WandaVision. They were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? Been going for 45 minutes.
We got The Xbox leaks. Xbox Watergate. Is that what we were gonna call it?
I think it's funny that there was like who cleared it? How was there no spot check?
I think it's over. From what I gathered, this leak it was about information that came out 2 years ago in 2020. I don't know. I really don't know. And I think was it Todd?
Hmm?
Todd. Was it? What's his name? Not Todd. I'm thinking Todd Howard from Bethesda. Who is the Xbox
Phil
guy?
Spencer?
Spencer. Phil Spencer. There we go. Thank you. Was it him?
I
Like
think he
did
confirmed it. Or
He
said
yeah, he
Yeah.
confirmed it was real, but somebody so during the for the court case, they needed to upload some documents. Well, they uploaded everything unredacted. So
We would be in
it
jail.
literally was their timeline of what, you know, their products. Just unredacted. That's all public knowledge for a court case like that. So it had the new Xbox. It had multiple Bethesda games, a new Doom game, Xbox controller, like specific like there's a whole spreadsheet of shit that's going to be coming out or is
Fallout
funded,
3
not funded.
remaster.
Yeah. So some people are speculating saying it's like did they do it on purpose to kind of like get hype train going? But I don't think they did at all. I think it was literally one person uploaded some shit that they shouldn't have because people make mistakes. You know, if you're just doing your day-to-day job and you didn't like properly QC the file,
I mean,
however,
Microsoft's so big too. It's just
yeah,
one person
They
uploading the
should
document.
make everybody take cyber awareness challenge.
yeah, right.
Yeah, because the government never gets any of that stuff.
You would think though they're like with a document of that scale, multiple people would have to clear that. Like, hey, oh, Danny there.
Oh,
I mean, it's a good looking shot of your face.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a beautiful smile that it paused at.
Look at that mustache. Anyways, yeah, looking at Dan's beautiful mustache. You would think that you'd have like a QC and like have an editor
At least
that
like
was like,
someone just be like, here, clear the. It goes through like, okay, I need this done. Goes to the guy. They redact everything.
right,
Hand it to the printer person.
yeah.
It's just missed a step somewhere.
I don't know. It's interesting to see about the Series X without a disk drive and stuff.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
gonna
how
be
people
really interesting.
I don't know how people are gonna kind of perceive that because like I used to be a huge physical collector. But as I go on, like even with my Switch now, man, like with my kids playing games and stuff on it, I don't like having to change my cartridge all the time. It's actually like becoming a burden because my kids are kids and they're like, oh, I want to play
Yeah.
this, I want to play that, I want to play that. I'm like, holy shit. I think my internet just cut out. Uh-oh. That's fine. We can end her on that unless you got anything else to add on that. That is an interesting topic.
I just know one thing I really wanted to cover about it was that Xbox, if they didn't acquire like a major market or didn't get like a major acquisition to help bolster their self-titled launches, that they
Mhm.
were gonna stop. Like Microsoft was then going to sell Xbox. Like,
Really?
yeah, so like that's why they kept on trying to go after Nintendo, kept on going after like Warner Brothers, even Valve.
That's crazy.
And Nintendo almost went through, and I think it's still in the talks, is what I was gathering. Because that's why there's like Halo now going over to the Switch and stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
they're slowly starting to see how that's going to work out. Um, yeah, but that's what I read. Right, take that with whatever grain of salt. This is also on the Reddit subreddit
Yeah.
r
Yeah.
slash gaming leaks and rumors, and but it wasn't until Activision was like, okay, Activision Blizzard was like, okay, we'll make a deal. Then it kind of like really picked speed back up for them to get even more exclusives as well because they were. I wouldn't say that they were losing the console wars. I just think that they were just hemorrhaging money with the Game Pass and
Yeah.
with like how many like games and big games that they released on Game Pass. So I just feel like they're trying to make up money where it was lost by doing that. So now that they have like Call of Duty, you know, I mean this deal is going to get closed soon. I don't think it closed yet, if I remember correctly.
No, I think they still
That's
got a few things to
yeah,
close on.
that's going to help bolster a lot of things. So
That's wild. I mean, the last, when did the Xbox One come out? 2013, I think.
mhm.
It's been a really strange timeline for them or a strange road for how well they've been doing because they've done a lot of really good things, but like as far as making money goes, I know they're obviously making a shit ton of money, but their end game for like a digital library and Game Pass and this and that, they're not at the conclusion of it. So whether it's gonna like make or break them, or what's the term I'm thinking of? Whether it's all gonna come to fruition, I guess you could
Yeah,
say, is gonna be really interesting to see. Because
especially with
if something like if there's like a light bulb aha moment, all this is gonna pay off. But if it doesn't go their way, then yeah, I can see why Microsoft's concerned.
it might have paid off already if you look at Bethesda and like how many concurrent players. There was like over 250,000 or over 200 at least concurrent players. And like that's not even including the 10 million copies it sold.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then on top of that, there's now rumors coming out that Elder Scrolls 6 is just going to be an Xbox and PC exclusive. So they said, well, we could do it once and it's going to work. So why not do it again? You know,
Right.
Sony's, and it sucks so bad for the gamer. It only makes sense just to go to PC now, especially like if we're going to get drip fed these Sony games,
Yeah.
because then you're going to get access to everything. But like a lot of people I know, like just love kicking back on their couch and playing on their big ass TV.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I mean,
it will.
exclusives are funny because you would think they're gonna make more money by pushing it to other consoles, other platforms, and now this time around, like with Starfield, they might have got a bunch of people to buy Xboxes. Now
Yeah,
to do it every single time,
it's not going to
maybe
work.
maybe not every Bethesda game, but maybe for there he is. Hey,
Howdy,
welcome
partner.
back. Um, let me fix it here. Try to go out.
Yep.
Switch to TDS. This is not a paid
There
sponsorship.
we go.
They don't offer it here in this area.
I know they just got it up here.
They
So
had
I
a
jumped on it.
billboard 3 blocks away from my house when I was in Madison
Don't
about
even-
fiber, and I was like, they don't offer it in the area. I was like, yeah, I'm kidding me.
That's funny.
So,
We are just talking about exclusivity and what's the better bang for your buck with so Starfield's exclusive to Xbox. Now a bunch of people might have bought Xboxes, but is it worth it to do that for like Elder Scrolls 6? Do you make that exclusive only? Because think about how much money they're leaving on the table if all these Sony guys don't buy an Xbox.
It's the same thing that Sony's doing, right?
Yeah.
It's not about making money on the game. It helps,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about selling consoles.
Which
but are they
doesn't
actually
Yeah.
making more money selling consoles though? Because how much goes into that hardware?
right,
They lose like $200 on each console,
right.
but they make $15 a month on Game Pass, and they made $285 million in a month on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's a hard because there's obviously a bunch of people looking at statistics and they know way more than we do. But like you look at like how easy like an entry level PC is now, with the Game Pass PC subscription for $10, and like the caveat on or the counter argue, you also understand people want to kick back on their couch. it is so easy to plug a little portable PC into your big ass TV nowadays. You know what I mean?
Like, oh yeah,
Telling people that, and they're like, "No, dude, I just want my Xbox or I just want
Yeah.
my PlayStation." Bro, you can hook a wireless controller up to your
Right.
yeah.
It's the same thing. I don't understand.
The
Yeah.
Steam Deck has a dock that
Mhm.
plays 2K games like on on your TV. It's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
hook up an Xbox controller to that.
Yeah, that's what I did with my JSOX dock. That thing's sweet.
I might have misspoke with the 2K, but don't quote me on
You can
it.
go up to 4K, bud.
It'll go up to 4K. It
Yeah,
won't
it's not gonna play for
natively
shit.
in
It's not gonna
4K,
play
Yeah.
for shit, but
but it does have AMD FSR. If the
Yeah.
game supports it, it'll
Mhm.
upscale it pretty decent.
Yep. Yeah, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to actually get back to the time frame after the console launch where you can build the console killer PC again. Parts are getting cheap enough. You can get buddy just upgraded to a Ryzen 5000 processor for $90, 6 core, 12 thread. Graphics
Damn.
card prices are coming back down to the $200 again. So now we're talking $200 GPU, $100 CPU, $80 motherboard, $400 right there. We're getting really close, and that's all new parts. You start getting a couple used parts in there, and build a pretty solid PC for under $500, and then it's just upgradable after that. And the great thing about the Ryzen stuff is you can go all the way up to a 5800X 3D in a couple of years, and you're playing games at 240 FPS up to. You're not like locked into some like really old CPU, socket and generation that's like dead and has nowhere to go. Like there's really powerful upgrade paths.
I think when
And
people
really
look
cheap.
at when they look at PCs, they are intimidated, but they don't think of like the longevity builds. Like, look at me.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. So I built my first PC in 2000, or I had my first PC built in 2013. I literally just changed the case last week. I've been upgrading parts, CPU, GPU, motherboard, power supply, all that over 10 years. And I just replaced the case. Like, you can go as crazy as you want to. You know, if you
Mhm.
want to like budget build like I did for a long time, and now I'm like, fuck it. We're going hard in the paint. And you get
Yep.
a sweet ass Y60
you can-
case like I got going on now. My fan got in today, by the way,
Heck yeah.
for that CPU cooler.
It's gonna look sick.
Dude, the thing is heavy. I picked up the box. I'm like, jeez, she heavy. Yeah. So I think a lot of people just like think it's going to be really expensive to maintain. But like, if you look at the price that I was spent over, or you would spend over between console generation to generation to upgrade a GPU or a CPU, now that it's more manageable, you're still going to be spending less versus a $500-$600 console, because those are only going to get more expensive. I don't think they're going to stay around the $400 or $500 mark. Now they will, but the performance is not going to be there. So it's really depends on what you want. Like, do you want to spend a little less money to have less performance, or would you rather,
Yeah, I mean, like the great thing about PC is like you can tinker with it, and you can almost always get it to 60 FPS,
Mhm.
right? Like Starfield, like you pretty much can always get it to 60 FPS if you want to. Where if you're on the console, you don't even have a choice. You're locked to 30. You can't
Mm-hmm.
choose a visual downgrade to get to a smoother experience. Only 30 FPS. The game companies choose for you. The one thing I will say is like everything's great about PC until like you run into a few problems and you have to do all this research and you're trying to fix, and that's usually just like software related most of the time. And it can be a little annoying, but like once you get through it, usually like I don't know, I haven't had a lot of my friends like run into any issues the past 3 or 4 years, but there was one week where it was all of them. I had like 5 people be like, "Oh, I got computer problems." I'm like, okay, this is why people buy consoles.
Yeah.
I see it now, but
Like when we upgraded my
that's
CPU, man, there
Mhm.
was there was a random Asus program from my motherboard from 4 years ago that was still on my computer. And it wasn't showing anywhere until we actually got a software to like look into all the like what would you even
dive
call them,
into-
like
yeah.
invisible programs. I don't know, but that one program was causing my computer to freaking blue screen every time we would turn it on.
That is nuts, and that
And
doesn't surprise me.
yeah, so Dan did, you know, every time we were seeing what the boot fail was, and they kept saying this ASUS thing. I'm like, I don't have anything that is ASUS. It's like the
Not
last thing that was
anymore.
ASUS was a motherboard. And for whatever
Years
reason, that
ago.
program was still on there, and it was causing my
It was
computer
like,
to
yeah, it was
crash.
like a driver. So like it
Yeah.
didn't show up in like all programs or anything like that. It was this like old driver that was installed. And one of my other buddies who had built a computer around the same time as Tom's first one had the exact same thing on his computer. And so it actually helped me save a bunch of time when I upgraded him. I was like, yep, I know exactly where this issue is coming from.
That is awesome.
That's the thing
I
with PC. And oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I learned so much. This is my first build, and I went insane with it. And I'm still like learning stuff about like building a PC because like I just got a pre-built last time, right? But just like putting it all together was a whole challenge. Like I think I spent like a total of like 12 hours just by myself watching YouTube videos, reading, but it coming out of
Sweating.
it, yeah, it's sweating, like and like hoping everything like works. But I came out of it with so much more knowledge and like more understanding of my computer, and I completely appreciate it for what it is now. Like now that's my gaming baby.
Mhm.
That's why
And
I'm so
yeah.
lucky to have Dan, because like, dude, I texted him the other night. I was playing Spider-Man. I was looking at my temperatures. I set on my temperatures. I'm like, bro, 63 degrees on the CPU, and what I say on the 63 on the GPU, and what I say max was on my CPU.
I think it hit like 70.
Yeah, and I was like, I've been playing Spider-Man open world, you know, full FOV, 2K ultra settings, like does everything max, and my computer's just sitting like a beast. I'm like, I appreciate you so much. Um, but I'm funny when it comes to PC knowledge. I was telling Dan this, like Dan always does like the hands-on stuff, but I'll sit there and like ask him questions on why stuff works the way it does. Like I have a knowledge there, I just don't have like I understand where stuff goes, but he's the one who always does it. Because like I'm at the point, like if I broke something on my PC, I'd be fucking crushed. Because like it's not like what I'm gonna do now. I have my old case, and when I start doing upgrades on this again, I think I'm gonna keep the other stuff, and I'm like gonna build my own kind of shitty computer, or like entry level computer, so I can break stuff and not feel bad about it. Because right now I'm like, dude, if I break anything in here, I'm gonna just die. So but
And I appreciate you, Dan, for answering all my questions. I DM you random hours of the night.
Yep, no problem.
Dan wakes up. He's a technician who needs to start charging people. I keep telling him,
Yeah, he
like,
does.
bro, you need to build a portfolio and stop doing this for free. He's just like I don't know, charge $5 an hour.
Yeah, I just enjoy it too much.
Yeah, that's your problem. All right, boys. Anything else to add before we cut it out?
Not on my part.
Drolly?
Stay nerdy.